Hi, Valteria greeted the clerk. Hello, hello, the clerk greeted back. I take it that's a contract you have there? Oh, yes, it is. Valteria handed the slip of paper over to the clerk. The clerk quickly read over the contract. My, this one has been open a while. I'm glad someone is taking it. The clerk looked up at them discerningly. You are equipped to handle werewolves, aren't you? Silver and fire, right? Xander asked, speaking up. I suppose that will do. But be careful. I've heard werewolves can put up a hell of a fight, the clerk responded. We'll take care of that, you can be certain, Graphus offered. Then consider this contract taken, if you'll all simply put down your names on this form, the clerk stated. Once they'd all signed the document, the clerk filed it away. Know anything more about this contract? Freya asked. The whole thing seems a bit odd. The clerk shook their head. Nothing more than the paper says. The local guild hall might know more, though, and the mayor of Brex is listed as a liaison for more information. Best I can do is tell you to start there for more information. We'll make sure to do that, Freya said. Anything else I can help you all with? Does anyone need to update their status with the guild? The clerk asked helpfully. I think I'm still pretty up to date, Xander said. He looked around at the team. Anyone else need to? I should probably update mine, Valteria said. It's been a while since I last did it. Of course. Always good to keep up to date, the clerk said, smiling. Let me just go get your file and we'll get you sorted. Valteria's status update was a quick affair, mostly a confirmation of her active status in the guild, though she did have a couple of levels since her last check-in. Once it was over, they all headed back to the inn to reconvene and begin making travel arrangements. Anything you need to grab from your house? Xander asked Valteria as she looked through the things she'd brought. Oh yes, plenty, she said. I need my suit of armor for starters and my traveling gear. I ought to let Jarrett know that I'll be going out of town, too. She paused, her gaze lingering on Xander. Would you come with me, please? Just in case. She didn't have to say what the case was exactly for Xander to understand. Of course I'll come with you, Xander told her. Besides, I'm pretty much all packed up at any given time. Could we stop by the stable and bring Freya? It's been too long since I got to spend any time with her. I don't mind at all, Valteria said. She's a good companion. At the stable, Xander spied Freya lounging in her stall. The great cat launched to her feet as soon as she spotted Xander, yowling loudly to be let out of her pen. Once Xander did so, she immediately bowled him over, rubbing her face against his head and chest as he lay on the ground, laughing. After a few more minutes of rubbing her face on Xander and receiving head pats and scritches in return, the big cat finally moved out of the way for Xander to stand up again. Are you ready to go for a walk to Valteria's place? Xander asked the big cat. Freya chuffed and nodded in response. Xander was always surprised when the cat nodded or shook her head in response to something, the intelligence granted to her by his cat-touched skill still shocking him. Ready to go on another contract too? Xander asked Freya as he led her out of the stables. He received another enthusiastic nod. I'll bet you are. You need some time out in nature again where you can really run, don't you? Xander said as he gave her some more scratches while they walked. Valteria watched on, still somewhat in awe of the huge cat, and bemused with the way Xander sometimes treated her more like a house cat than a cat big enough to ride on. No sign of the three Picts was seen by Xander or Valteria as they made their way to the shop, but as they came to the door, Valteria spotted a letter wedged between the door and the doorframe. It was titled, To Lady Creft. Valteria heaved a sigh as she read the envelope. Come on, Valteria said as Xander looked at the envelope curiously. Let's get inside. She unlocked the door and the both of them entered. Valteria locked the door back behind them. Do you even want to read it? Xander asked carefully once they were inside. Freya brushed past the couple and flopped down near the cold forge. Not really, Valteria admitted, but I should just in case. Another sigh was had as she pulled out the letter and began reading it. Anything important? Xander asked once Valteria had folded the letter back up and shoved it in the envelope. Blow, Valteria grunted as she moved to go up the stairs, Xander trailing behind her. Nope. Just a letter telling me how disappointed in me she is that I didn't agree to come with those thugs she sent. How the family will be sad to miss me at the wedding and that my absence shames them in front of the other houses. So just the usual. She must have pre-written it, expecting me to not go with them, she said with a huff. More like they want me back so they can marry me off and shut up the other houses. That wedding may as well be mine with how fast they'd move. Well, we can't have that, Xander said, giving her a one-armed hug once they reached the top of the stairs. I don't think I can compete with a noble suitor, he said jokingly. I'd pick you over one of those any day, Valteria said, leaning into the hug. Even though I'm an itinerant, low-born sellsword? Xander asked, his tone implying pride in those traits. Especially because you're an itinerant, low-born sellsword, Valteria laughed. But really, I don't care about any of that. You treat me so well. You help me without being asked. I enjoy spending time with you, and... Well, you act like I'm not different, or less than you, or just a piece on a game board. I like that. Well, what's wrong with being different? I think different can be good, he said defensively. Just because you're different doesn't mean I don't think you're a good person, or that the time I spend with you is any less enjoyable, and it certainly doesn't make you any less sexy, he said with a mischievous crinkle of his nose. Valteria wiggled a little bit at his compliment. You know what I mean. The people at home, they either viewed me as a stepping stone or a source of degrading gossip. And here, well, I've always been keenly aware of how different I was to everyone else. And sure, it's better here than at home, but you really do make me feel like I belong. Xander wrapped Valteria in another hug, this one from behind, and placed a kiss on the top of her head. Well, I do think you belong. You belong wherever you want to be. You belong here in your home. You belong with the team on this contract, and you belong with me, he said, giving her a gentle squeeze. Should we write your mother a letter about how you're running away to become a mercenary and that you've hooked up with a grizzled veteran who frequently ravishes you? Let's skip the letter and go straight to the ravishing, Valteria crooned. Once Xander and Valteria had gotten a certain amount of ravishing out of their systems, they recommenced with packing. Valteria had a large pack fitted for her suit of armor that she was loading up with a tent, bedroll, and other travel commodities. It looked comically large on her small frame as she dragged it about the house, adding this and that to it. Xander carried the bag down the stairs for her as they made their way out of the house and towards the shed that housed Valteria's armor. Freya joined the two of them as they came back downstairs. Valteria let out a satisfied breath as she opened the shed doors to view her armor. It'll be nice to get out and play around with this again. She pulled a small step stool from its place near the armor and positioned it so she could climb up to the armor. She undid the chest piece and climbed inside, sealing it behind her. Xander could just see her eyes peering out from the helm of the armor now. He heard a few clicks of switches being thrown, and then the armor was moving with Valteria as she reached out a hand for the oversized backpack Xander was carrying. He handed it over and moved out of the way as Valteria piloted the suit out of the shed. Let's go let Jarrett know I'm taking a trip. It feels weird not being in armor next to you, Xander commented as they walked. The height and size of Valteria's suite drew the eyes of passers-by, many recognizing her from the tournament. How come? Valteria asked. Just feels like we'd match then, Xander said with a shrug. You'll have plenty of time to be in armor on the contract, I'm sure, Valteria said. For now, I'm admiring you from a whole new angle. Is this how you see me? She asked with a small laugh. Well, I'm not exactly 3 feet taller than you, so it's not as exaggerated, Xander offered. Now I'll need a ladder to get a kiss from you. The helmet doesn't actually come off anyways, Valteria admitted. Oh, well, we should fix that. Kisses are a battlefield priority after all, Xander teased. Valteria rapped on Jarrett's door with her armored knuckles and called out to him through the door, voice slightly metallic coming from the helm. Jarrett, are you home? It's me, Valteria. Shuffling was heard from the other side of the door as Jarrett answered by opening it. Ah, Miss Valteria, you're in your armor. Is everything all right? He asked nervously. Oh, yes, everything's fine, she said, looked down at Jarrett. He was looking rather disheveled, not having tidied himself up yet for the day. But I'm going to be going on a contract with Xander and his team. As a vacation, with the added benefit of being out of sight for a while, you see. Also, it should pay well, so that will be nice. I just wanted to let you know that I'd be away for a bit. I trust you to keep the shop up and running once you're done recovering from things. Oh, I see. How exciting. It's been quite a while since you went on a contract. He looked over to Xander. Take care of her out there now, Mr. Xander. Xander looked up at the massive suit of armor. I think she might be taking care of me out there, Jarrett. But I'll do my best to make sure nothing happens to her. You have my word. Do you know how long you'll be gone? Jarrett asked. Not sure exactly, Valteria said thoughtfully. Brex is a few weeks away on the edge of the Veiled Forest. So 3 weeks there, plus getting the job done, and 3 weeks back. Call it 3 months or so? Could be more, I suppose. I'll write if it's going to be a long time. Jarrett nodded. I see. Well, no need to worry about the shop while you're gone. I'll make sure everything is just as you left it. He paused. Actually, the shop will probably be significantly neater and more organized when you come back, he said with a laugh. Hey, I know where everything is already, Valteria said defensively. That's because it's always in the last place you left it instead of getting put back where it's supposed to go, Jarrett argued back. Valteria pouted. So, anything you need from Valteria before we head out, Jarrett? Xander asked, inserting himself before more arguing could occur. No, I should be well equipped to handle the shop while you're away, Jarrett said with a wave of his hand. Thank you for coming and letting me know that you'd be gone. I'd be quite concerned if you simply disappeared for over a month. I would imagine so, Valteria said. We won't take up any more of your time and let you get back to relaxing, Jarrett. I'll see you in a few months. Valteria and Xander both offered friendly waves goodbye, which were returned by a wave from Jarrett before he returned to his home and shut the door. Shall we? Xander asked, looking up at Valteria. Let's, Valteria agreed. Valteria's suit barely fit in the door of the inn and up the stairs, but she was apparently used to this and deftly piloted it around the obstacles in her way. Jemta watched like a hawk as they went through the common room on the ground floor, but no damages were incurred. Once Valteria squeezed through the door to their room, she crouched down in her suit of armor, and Xander heard a few more clicks as she powered down whatever it was that ran the suit. The chest piece once more popped open, and Valteria clambered out. When are we leaving anyway? Valteria asked. Xander shrugged. Probably as soon as I get payment from my last contract. Everyone else is itching to get out of the city. Does it bother you that you're going out again so soon? Valteria asked. Nah, not really, Xander told her. I like being with the team, and with you, he added. Besides, I can make a bed anywhere, so I can always be comfy, so the where of things doesn't matter too much to me. One of the things I decided I wanted when I came to this world was to travel and see more of it. I forgot you could just make a bed. I'm sleeping in your tent when we travel, Valteria teased. I'll make sure there's space for two then, Xander assured her. But you might have to fight Freya for the spot. I think we can all manage to make something work, Valteria said. There was a knock at the door. Xander opened it to see Jemta with a man wearing a messenger bag just behind her. You have a man here with a message for you, Xander, Jemta informed him. Oh, thank you, Jemta, Xander said. Your message, sir. The courier handed over a small piece of paper to him before quickly making his way back towards the stairs. Returning to his room, Xander opened the paper to find a note from Bryn Greffelt. Payment is ready. Lady Bryn Greffelt. Ah, well, would you look at that, Xander said, waving the paper in his hand. Payment is ready. Ooh, can I come with you? Valteria asked excitedly. I don't see why not, Xander said with a shrug. I need to get the APC anyways, and the golems are still in it too. I've never seen the governor's mansion before, Valteria said excitedly. Let me put on something more formal. It was a bit of a walk through the town and then some more to the governor's estate, but the Xander and Valteria were in no rush. They arrived around midday at the guard shack outside the gate. Xander Jones, I've got a meeting with Lady Greffelt, Xander explained to the guard currently stationed at the outbuilding. Let's see, the guard said, flipping through a small book that appeared to hold appointments. Ah, there you are, he said, placing his finger over a small note that had been scribbled between two other appointments. Lady Gelt will see you, assuming she isn't in a meeting at the moment. If she is, you might have to wait a spell. I'll have you led to her office." Another guard was brought over and instructed to lead them to Lady Gelt's office at the manse. Through the manicured paths and past beds of flowers they walked, both of them taking it all in as they walked. Xander hadn't seen the place in full bloom before, and was impressed with the variety of flowers he could see. Soon, they were at the central building of the estate and being ushered inside. Valteria's head was on a swivel, though she wasn't gawking like Xander had on his first visit. Hers was a more polite and restrained interest, less impressed by the grandeur of the place. Up the stairs they were led, and then to Lady Gelt's office door, which was currently shut. The guard politely rapped at the door. "Xander Jones and companion her to see you, Lady Gelt," the guard said formally. Come in, came Lady Gelt's voice through the door. The guard opened the door and ushered Xander and Valteria in. "Welcome, Xander. Ah, and this must be Valteria. Please do sit down," Bryn Gelt said warmly. "Spying again?" Xander asked. "Always," Bryn said with a grin. "But it's always nicer to meet someone face to face rather than through a report," the noblewoman said, turning to Valteria. "I've heard interesting things about you. It's a pleasure to meet you," she said, offering a hand. Valteria politely shook the offered hand. "A pleasure on my part as well," she said, sounding more formal than usual. "I hope the interesting parts were all good." Lady Gelt chuckled. "Nothing of concern. That much you can rest assured of. You've found yourself good company in Xander and his team, if I may say so myself." "I certainly like to think so," Xander interjected. He reached out and found Valteria's hand, holding it. "Now let's get down to brass tacks," Lady Gelt said. "Regarding your payment, I've wrangled all the additional clients, so to say, who wished to add on to your payment. It was quite a sum, all things totaled, as well as the promise of favors, should you find yourself in need of a patron in the future, or perhaps find the desire to settle down somewhat striking you. I dare say quite a few of the nobility would be happy to snap you up with an offer of employment." "The offer is much appreciated," Xander began, "but I'm still quite happy to wander." Lady Gelt let out an exaggeratedly sad sigh. "All the good mercs are, sadly. Still, the offers stand, and likely will continue to stand for quite some time. Now, on to the monetary portion of your payment. A sum of 5 platinum, that's 5,000 gold pieces to be clear, will be deposited to your account." Valteria's eyes widened, but she managed to stay silent. "Additionally," Lady Gelt continued, "one of the nobles was very insistent that I extend a personal invitation to their estate to you." Bryn produced a crisp, wax-sealed envelope from her desk and offered it to Xander. The seal was of some kind of bird. Xander thought that it was a crow or maybe a raven as he turned the envelope over in his hands, inspecting it. "I will, of course, defer to you on whether or not you accept the invite, though. I doubt it's one you'll refuse." "Thank you," Xander said, still distractedly turning the envelope over in his hands. He shook his head, clearing the distraction from his mind. "Ah, is there anything else you need from me, Lady Gelt?" "For the moment, no. Should your services become needed again, I'll find you. Of that you can be sure." Lady Gelt said this with the confidence that only someone with an entire network of spies could say. "Speaking of finding me," Xander said, "I'll be out of town in the area of Brex for a while on a contract, probably a few months, just in case you need to find me." "I appreciate the information. I expect it would be a few days yet before I figured out where exactly it was that you went," Bryn said with a laugh. "I don't anticipate anything popping up in that time frame, so nothing to fear on that front." She cleared her throat. "Ah, one more thing before I send you on your way. Your cart? I'm not sure what exactly to call it. It's still by the warehouses. Is there perhaps somewhere else you could store it?" she asked pointedly. "Right, I'd meant to ask about that. I was intending to take it back with me, actually, so it will be out of the way soon." "Perfect. Then everything should be resolved. Now, I hate to rush you out, but I'm actually due for a meeting in the next quarter hour or so I must be leaving as well." "No worries," Xander said. "Thank you for seeing us." "Until next time," Lady Gelt said, waving them out of her office. "Goodbye," Valteria said, bowing her head formally. "See you later," Xander said, significantly less formally. Once the door was shut behind them and they were out of earshot, Valteria turned to Xander and asked incredulously, "See you later?" "What?" Xander said, confused. "What's wrong with see you later?" Valteria rolled her eyes. "What's wrong with see you later?" She teased him. "Do you have any idea who that is? She's the governor's right hand." Xander shrugged. "So?" Valteria gave him a look of bafflement. "I'm surprised nobles can stand to be around you," she said. "You must somehow come across as quaint to them instead of rude." "I guess so. I'm not exactly used to dealing with nobles, so I wouldn't really know. I've only really had one contract with nobles before this, honestly," Xander said. Well, you need to brush up on your etiquette before you accidentally offend someone," Valteria stated. That sounds boring. I don't care which fork is for salad or whatever," Xander complained as they walked their way back to the entrance of the mansion. If you love engaging stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with all the latest episodes from FY Stories.